Hi, this is Sylvia Sassybird Johnson from Garland, Texas, and I am promoting my new books. The first one is called The Nightmare is Over, but Pain Still Lives. This book is about women that have been raped and abused, and they need to let go of the pain. And if they don't let go of the pain, they don't know how to let love enter in once love comes in again. So this is a real good book to read because when you let go of that pain and love enters your heart again, you will know how to love. The second book is Till Death Do Us Part. This book is a communications manual for couples. It's a workbook. This book will help to save marriages and those that are contemplating marriage because it will help you to know the individual that you are marrying. You're not marrying your mother or father. You're marrying somebody totally new. Often couples try to relate their marriage to somebody else's marriage, but you have to know the individual that you're marrying. And please know that this is a very good workbook. I did a conference in Dallas, Texas with my previous book, For Better or Worse, Till Death Do Us Part, and 5 couples stopped their divorce proceedings. This book here, For Better for Worse, For Richer for Poor, was my first book that I published over 15 years ago. And I did a conference here with Pastor Lambert in Dallas, Texas at the Holiday Inn. And this was a big conference. And I know this is a powerful book. But what I did in 2024, I changed the name Till Death Do Us Part. I sent this book all over the world. And I tell you, I didn't get any interviews. There was one interview that I got, and it was on the Heaven 97 Robert Ashley show. I got so excited with the interview that I had what you call a miniature seizure on that show, and I was never invited back on the show. I did send Oprah this book, and it was sent back to me saying that I don't accept unsolicited material. I was so excited that I thought I was going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show because of this book. I sent Bishop T.D. Jakes this book. He had it on display at a minister's at a conference here in Dallas, Texas. I take it that he had read the book because he told pastors at the conference that it was one of the best communication manuals that he had ever seen. Well, 5 pastors from that conference called me about this book, but I could never get the connection with Bishop T.D. Jakes. So I know how powerful the book is. Till Death Do Us Part is the same book. It's retitled, and it has more information in it. It even has a survey called You Mean the World to Me in this workbook. And I know it will help save many marriages. I suggest you go on Amazon, Miss Sylvia Johnson, and take a look at both of these books. My third book is not coming out until December, and it is a men's book. It will help save men's lives. I write about pain and love because I believe in the power of love. I am an author that was abused and raped, and I personally write about my pain. A pastor took me in at the age of 16, and that lady taught me about love. I never believed in it because when I ran away at the age of 16, my mother didn't run after me. But this lady took me into her home and she taught me about the power of love. She made me believe in the power of love. Not only did she do that, she made me believe that I was her child. She once told me Sylvia, do you know what you have done to me? She got custody done for me. She got custody of her 4 children or grandchildren. And I was there to help her through all of that. I looked at all the things that she had done for me, and she looked at all the things that I had done for her. So she took me in, and I was a part of her life and her world. So although my negative looked like a negativity, it turned out to be a positivity. So things can look bad in our lives, but in return, they can turn out pretty good in life. So I do want to say, please believe in dreams, believe that things can be overturned, believe that love can enter in at any age in your life, only if you believe it. But things can change and things can turn around. Believe that, because it happened to me. I didn't find out who my father was until I was in my 40s after my mother's death. And I wanted to know who my father was. And what happened was the therapist asked me, Sylvia, is there anybody in this world that you think that might be your father? I said, there's one man that I think that might be. And I went to the man and asked him, are you my father? And he said, yes, Sylvia, but how did you know? I said, as a little girl growing up, when there was a special event, whether it was a family reunion or any type of function, the way you squeezed and hugged me, I said it always stayed in the back of my mind that you were somebody special to me. He said, yes, but your mother was married and I was married, and neither one of us wanted to leave our spouses. The man that I thought was my father, he did not treat me like I was his child. So one night, I picked up a knife to stab him to death. My mother put her key in at the same time that I picked up the knife to stab him because I could not take another beating from him. At the same time she called out his name, I was able to drop that knife. I would have been a criminal locked up forever. That's why I am a believer in the power of love and in the power of God's name. Because had I not dropped that knife and had she not called out his name at the same time he grabbed my throat, I would have stabbed him to death because I could not take another beating. The next day I told her, Mom, I'm leaving your house. I didn't know where I was going, but I told her, it's over. It's either me or him, and one of us will be dead. So I chose to walk away with no love in my heart. And I do want to say that that lady that took me in and showed me what love really is, I can never forget that. And one of the things I do want to say is 2 weeks before the man that I thought was my father had a massive stroke, he called me to say, Bird, which is my nickname. He said, do you hate me for all the things that I did to you? I said, well, Day, I tried to hate you. But that lady that taught me about love, she said there's no need to hate someone. When you get older, Sylvia, you'll understand some things. So I couldn't hate him. And when he had his stroke, the 8 or 10 months he was in the nursing home, I was there every day beside him with no hatred in my heart. This book here called Till Death Do Us Part, I put on this book, The Loosening of the Hands. Before you let love walk away from you, you make sure that you've done everything you can before you walk away from something good. Many times in life, we'll walk away from something good we just don't know how to work it out. Life is like a puzzle sometimes. We try to fit things together, and sometimes we don't know how to fit all the pieces together. That's why sometimes we have to go out and get help. We have to ask for help. We can't be too proud to ask for the things that we need in life. Because if you want to make it in this world, you have to ask sometimes. Have you ever heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child? When you really think about that, it's really real. It takes more than one to do something sometimes. It's like team building. You need more than one to climb that ladder. And sometimes when you need help, get help the best way you can, because life is real. And I was at the Fair Park this weekend, and I went into a place called the Tower. And I want to make an appeal to the city of Dallas. And I'm going to ask for something, because the Bible says, ask and it shall be given. So I have a few things that I'm going to ask for in this life. I'm 65 now. I've had a lot of things taken away from me in this life. I've had a job taken away from me. I've suffered with miniature seizures. I've had a job to violate the HIPAA law rights, the ADA violation, the Whistleblowing Act. I even had a job to where they put a home loan packet in my hand while I was having a miniature seizure. They created what you call a transition packet to transition me, they said, into a new job. But the transition was out the door. Sylvia, if you sign this document, rights not to sue. And it was bribery. So at this Tower place at the park, at the Fair Park this year, I went into this building and I saw all of the food places, and I saw people of all cultures in there. So I sit down with some people and I said, what is this place? I've never seen it before. And the lady said, oh, it's a food place. It's inside and everybody comes in to eat. And when this happened, I saw white, black, all Spanish people, everybody sitting down at tables eating. So I'm going to ask our city this question. I'm going to say, the cultural melting pot of Texas. This is in honor of Sylvia Sassy-Bird Johnson. And the lady that I sit next to, her name was Delise. I said, I'm going to steal this idea from you, lady. And I want to build a tower of love and togetherness. And what this is, Sylvia Johnson has 9 cases in Dallas, Texas, big cases. And I want a team of lawyers from all over the Metroplex area to take some of these cases. I'm not asking you for a 33% cut. You take 50% and give Sylvia 50%. All of these cases that I have is worth a lot because of what has happened and transpired in my life. You can reach me at sylviajohnson369@gmail.com. But if a team of lawyers get together and look at all of these cases, my house was stolen in 2017 through an auto signature. There's a Sylvia Johnson that lives across the street from my property and one around the corner. They're both Spanish and I'm black. So how did my auto signature get on a document? And I was working in the Infomart building at that time. I worked for a bank for 10 years. They said it was a severance packet, but when I pulled the records, it said terminated. I reported to the Employee Relations Department all the things that had happened to me at the bank. I had a 98.9% accuracy rate. I have a bachelor's degree. I'm an SMU graduate in legal school, family law paralegal. Look at my pay rate. Look at all the accomplishments that I have. They knew that I was an author and had written 3 books already. And I had to work under duress and stress. A manager put a packet in my hand, a home loan packet, while I was having a seizure. Another manager caused me to urinate on myself because they told me I couldn't go to the restroom because it wasn't my lunch break or a 15-minute break. And I had to get permission from a manager. Another manager told someone about my medical condition and I would be going on the COVID release because of my age and things like that. I reported all of that to the Employee Relations Department. They said it would be an investigation, and I was the one that was investigated, and I was terminated. I went to the EEOC office, and they told me over on Houston Street, they said, "Lady, this is a big case." They said, "But you've waited too many days to file an EEOC." They said, "You need a lawyer." So my house case, Channel 8 News, I can't give you the reporter's name, but I have it on record. He had my news story. I don't know if it was because of the title company that was so big that had a big loan on my property before they paid some taxes. My house was not in foreclosure, but they told me at Channel 8 News that they had to stop the news story because of COVID. Channel 4 News pictured me on national television that Sylvia Johnson was a recipient of a special grant that Dallas County 2377 Stemmons Freeway had given out to different cities. I was the Garland recipient in 2021. The grant was given out somewhere between September through November. What happened to this money that was paid to the Broadway apartments? I have no idea. I went to the case manager at Dallas County over on Stemmons to find out how could you picture me on television and say that I was a recipient of a 12-month grant program and never received the funds. Did they split the funds? I don't know. But I have 9 big cases here, and I need some help in this community. When I thought about the tower of love and togetherness, I need lawyers from criminal, civil. I need a team of lawyers, but I want these lawyers to be red, yellow, black, white, because I believe in the power of love. I believe in togetherness. This is how strongly I believe in love. I want people to come together and show our city how powerful love is. You lawyers take these cases and let the people know that love is real. We talk about the homeless people. We have no idea what this city is like. I lost my apartment in 2022 when I went on unemployment. I went to so many shelters. Dallas Life Shelter has me listed as staying there for 1 year. I told them, no, I've never lived at a shelter. I did register at this shelter, because the doctors had me to register at a shelter because of miniature seizures. When my immune system got low, they told me it would be best to register at a shelter to stay all night sometimes instead of trying to travel back to Garland, Texas at night when my shift was over at 7:30. I told them I did stay at the shelter some years ago, maybe 4 or 5 times in 1 year. But I've never lived at a shelter. I've always lived in a home until my home was stolen through the forgery. And they said, no, lady, we have you listed as living at this shelter for an entire year. They said, we're now under new management, and This is what we have on file. Nothing we can do. I went to another shelter, Salvation Army, next to Parkland, and the lady told me I would have to climb to a second floor bunk bed. I climbed and my knees wobbled because I was in a bad car wreck. And she told me I couldn't have that spot because I couldn't climb to the second floor bunk. And she burst into laughter. Then I did documents for a shelter called Shared Life Ministries. And it was 13 pages, 14 pages, and I kept calling them and asking them, what's going on with my application? That's been over a year ago. They said, oh, it's still in review. So every time you call, you cannot get connections with these places. Some lady at Dallas County that knew the manager over there called for me to say, what's going on with Miss Johnson's application? She said, oh, it's still in review. So your application stays in review, I guess, for years now. So when we're talking about the homeless people, please be careful. Some of these people are out here trying to do what they can do to get support and to get moving again, but people don't believe. Why is it that people will believe a liar more than they will the truth? There's a man by the name of Craig Watkins, I believe. He was a district criminal attorney here. I read an article about him last year. I think he died at the age of 56. This man overturned 25 cases in Dallas, Texas. Now, I want to ask a question. How did these cases get overlooked? The judge, the jury, and these lawyers sent all of these men to prison, right? But this man got so enthused, however you would say it, in wanting to research this DNA and all of these things to find out why are all these men sent to prison. But he got involved and he said, I'm going to look into this. Something is not right. So I want you all, take a look into Sylvia Johnson's cases. Take a look into see why Sylvia Johnson was denied disability for seizures, and they put the word morbid obesity, and the judge burst into laughter, and you will see that on the video. You might have to pull some archives because it's unreal, but they did want to open the brain up and experiment because they know there's some form of seizures. I was at work one day and had a seizure at work, and I told a manager his entire conversation. So the doctors are not used to these type of seizures where you can enter another world and have all of these visions and dreams. But they are some form of seizures. I did tell them I would not consent to you opening the brain up just to get a disability check. So maybe you can get that reversed and I can get disability. I never stop writing. I'm an excellent writer. So nobody can take that away from me. 3 years ago, I left my church after 40 years. I could not get my minister's license renewed. You know why? They told me because I wasn't driving a vehicle anymore. I chose not to drive my vehicle because I went over the safety precautions of when you have seizures. You could stare too long, or blink, or and trigger one of these stage 4 miniature seizures. So in the Bible, I think what I used to read, they was riding on donkeys and everything. Now this is 2024, and I know that technology is powerful. Now, can you tell me now that because you don't have a car, you can't get your minister's license? I do know that you can go on Amazon, on some of these websites and get your minister's license. But how can I be a licensed minister after 40 years And a pastor tell me I cannot get my minister's license because of not driving a vehicle. Now I want the world to tell me about love, integrity, and truth. I want to know, how do liars get away with scamming? How do companies get away with taking property? How do people get dressed up in all of these suits and things and get away with criminal activity, but yet criminals get shot and killed, or the homeless people, things get taken away from? I don't know, but somebody, let's build this tower together for Sylvia Jean Johnson. I'm an honest citizen here. I took in homeless girls at my property because of what happened to me. Who are these other Sylvia Johnsons that's floating around? It seems like every time I tell the truth about a matter, I get in trouble. My own sister asked me one question. She said, "Why do you always tell the truth about things?" I said, "Why should I lie about things? At least I don't have to remember the lie I told." She also told me, you are nothing and you'll never be nothing. She told me, "Don't anybody love you. God loves me. Somebody does. Only if he loves me." It seems like I'm a workaholic. I do everything. I'm a doer for the community. I'm like the former President Barack. I do things for free. My brother said I would be rich if I wasn't always trying to help others. I do power of attorney documents for people, wills for people. I go into my community and I serve. I was an administrator at my church getting paid $35 a week. The pastor's daughter told me, "We won't even pay your cell phone bill anymore." She also told me, "And you cannot read a resolution at my brother's funeral." I obey rules. So tell me, what kind of world are we living in now in 2024? I thought slavery was over. How do we bring love back into this world? I did a proposal to the police chief and the mayor in our city of Dallas. It's called Saving Our City with the Power of Love. How do we help homeless people? Because we don't know everybody's story. Michelle Obama said, "Everybody has a story." Do you know my story? I didn't know what I was growing up. When the uncle finished raping me, the aunt started on me. So what was I growing up? Was I male or female? Was I homo? I don't know what I was growing up, but I know they worked on me. When I went to high school, junior high school, I know I fought like crazy because I said nobody will ever touch Sylvia Johnson again without her permission. So then I was labeled as bad. I was skipped a grade in high school. A teacher looked at me and said, "I don't care how good you are, Sylvia, at writing. You'll never get an A in my class." I ran home and told my mother. She said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just graduate." So you grow up. Where is love? Who cares? So you have to develop the sense of caring about yourself. So I have another appeal. I want to ask Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, over the pulpit, I had an assistant pastor that would say, "Sylvia Johnson is going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show with her books." And her and the pastor would burst out into laughter. And it was all because I used to say, "One day I'm going to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show." That never did happen. And I went to the pastor and I said, "Hey, please don't do that over the pulpit. It saddens me. It makes me sad. Please don't do that." So Dr. Phil, I have something for you. I want to be on your show. I don't even like flying, but I'll fly to your show. And I want to be the speaker on your show because I want to talk about love. I want to talk about integrity. I want to talk about truth. And you know who I want on that show? I want Hezekiah Walker on that show, Dr. Phil, the man that has that song out called Gratefulness. I want Bishop T.D. Jakes on that show because he's the one that told that crowd about my book and how powerful it was. And I know he's going through some things now on national television, but I'm talking about my show. I want Joel Osteen to be on that show because I'm going to tell him if Steve, what's his name? Tyler Perry does that movie, Sylvia Johnson's Success, Sassy Burst Johnson's Story to Success, however he titles it. I want to walk in Joel Osteen's church preaching a certain message. I can't give you the title. I want Oprah Winfrey on the show just to see her face, because many times when I've spoken, people have walked up to me and said, "Oh, you think you're Oprah Winfrey?" I said, "No, I can't even speak like her. I cannot pronounce the words like Oprah." And I said, and furthermore, if I was Oprah, don't you think I would be in a limousine and not riding the bus or using the public transportation system? So please don't compare me with Oprah. I would like Michelle Obama to be on my show. You know why, Michelle? You, in your book, you said everybody has a story. And then you talked about your brother Craig. It moved my heart because my brother and I was once so close, and everybody talked about our relationship. I just can't believe a sister and brother is like that. And somehow it was torn apart. I don't know if it was through jealousy or what, but our love and bond for each other was real. But when I read your book, I said, wow, it's somebody else in this world that loves the way I do. And then you said something about your mother, how your mother ran to the school when you were having problems with the teacher. Well, Michelle, I have to say, I never had that. I was a smart girl in school. I would have went on to law school. I would have done a lot of things. I had a lot of gifts and talents. But guess what? I never had any backing. I did everything on my own. When I went to college, guess what happened? I was 16, 17, I think 17, because I had graduated a year early. I did all my paperwork by myself. An instructor walked up to me and said, "Sylvia, stop turning in late assignments and getting F's." He said, "Turn in incomplete assignments and you'll never get a zero, something like that." My GPA went up. I still graduated college with a 3.5. But if you look on my transcript, you'll see all those F's on there. But I did everything on my own. So I never had the support of family. Do you know what it's like to live a life like that? Where is your family? I didn't have it. So when I tell the truth, people get mad at me. My family get mad at me when I write about truth. They say I'm trying to make my mother look bad. I'm trying to make my aunt and uncle that raped me look bad. They said the dead can't speak for themselves because I told about the rape of my aunt, that story. I said, well, but the truth, the living can speak. I told my mother, please don't take me to your mother's house. They do bad things to me over there. She said, shut up. You go where I take you. They would put all the children on the outside and say, Bird is in trouble again, while they worked on me. Do you think a child forget that? As someone said, Sylvia, forget that. It's over. Do you really forget it? You let it go. But sometimes the memories still come up. So what can you do? Barack, I'd like you, former president, to be on that show. You know why? Because I thought you was an Anglo-Saxon until I picked your book up. You, Dreams of My Father, it touched me. Here you are wanting the same thing that I wanted. You wanted to know who your father was. So I was not the only one in this world that wanted to know who their father was. So guess what? There's somebody else out there higher and bigger than I am that wanted to know who their father was. Do you know how many children out here that don't know the truth about how they got here or don't know the other side of the story? They only know what their mother told them or what their father told them. They've never gone to their father or their mother and asked them, what's the real story? Because there's the right side, the wrong side, and then there is the truth right there in the middle. What is the truth? So if all of these lawyers come together for Sylvia Johnson, guess what would happen? Everybody will walk away with something and nobody will be defeated, because we will walk away like champions building this tower. Not the Tower of Babel, however you say it, like they were trying to build to reach the sky. We don't want to build that tower. We want to build a tower of love. How many pro bono lawyers are operating in Dallas, Texas now? You go to Legal Aid of North Texas. They take the cases they want to take. Go to the Community Lawyering Center and let them tell you, oh no, sorry, we can't take your case. Most people are not even answering the phones now. All they have is voicemail. So I need some real people to say, hey, let me help that old woman. She's 65 now. She's living as if she doesn't have a dime. I filed early, SS, not SSI, early SS. I couldn't even get a job after they did this to me at the bank. 62, 63 years old. Who are hiring the 62, 63-year-olds? Oh, you're overeducated with a bachelor's degree and all of this. So do you take your bachelor's degree off? Or did you work hard for it? Did you earn it? Why should you have to take your bachelor's degree off? I don't know. We tell our children to go to college. All of these things will happen to you. Does it really happen in the real world? We live in reality world. Texas is an at-will state. Is this how they get away with all of this prejudice, firing people for telling the truth? There was a young man at Macy's with all of this stuff that's coming out. He got fired because he told the truth about what happened to him in the basement with being raped. And he told the truth. And because of a clothing line, they didn't take care of it. You got all of these people in the world wearing titles and labels. And what's happening? Nothing gets done because it's money now. So who's standing up with integrity? You would think a bank is about integrity. Is it? I don't know. All I know is my story. So I'm asking for a team of people. Come together, show compassion, have mercy, and let's get something done in our city, because it's a sad world. And if you haven't worn the shoes that I have worn, you have no idea what it's like to live like this. I've worked in the corporate world as a procurement buyer, had a big office, worked with engineers, buying wire and cable components, and I love my job. That job went out of business and Raytheon took over. I started substitute teaching. But when I had the traumatic shock of my mother's death and fell out at the hospital and hit my head and started suffering with the seizures, things changed. So when things change, you have to go the alternate route in life, right? And you have to go to plan B, and then you have to start walking again. How many people walk away from you when you go down the hill? As long as you're going up the hill, how many people will stay with you? But the minute you start sliding down the hill, Watch out, world. How many friends will you have? We're supposed to be like soldiers, right? Especially the Christians. Christians are supposed to be there to pull another soldier up or to pull another Christian up. How many people will talk about you and put their mouth on you when you slide down that hill? But Sylvia Johnson doesn't do it because you never know what's coming down your lane. That's why we need to stay in our lane. So Tyler Perry, I want there. Steve Harvey, I want there. That man Hezekiah Walker, maybe he knows how powerful that song is. Gratefulness. Just listening to that song, I don't care if you're homeless, rich, poor, whatever you are. Listening to that song will save lives. This book here, called The Emotional Healthy Woman by Jerry Scazzara. This lady that wrote this book is for the church. You would think it's a book about women, but this is a lady talking about people that are in the church, how we need to quit lying about the church being perfect and things like that. Her husband is a pastor at a big church. And she left her church because she couldn't deal with it. He was a pastor. They had children to raise. But she talked about all the things that goes on in the church. Because we look at the church where I came from, the Pentecostal church, the holiness church, where you wear the long dresses and the, you can't wear the sleeveless shirts. So in this church, you think everything is pure and holy and clean. But guess what? You take the long dresses off and all of this. The church is a building. What's in the heart of people? You find out that it's so much mess in the church. You find out that people don't even like you because somebody else don't like you. Do they really know you? Absolutely not. They may know something about you. They don't really know you. I had a pastor friend to call me one day to tell me something that her husband didn't say something to me. And I said, well, I have a witness that was there that heard him say those words to me. I said, are you calling me a liar? She said, well, I said my husband didn't say it. Obviously, you don't know your husband. So we're all in ministry. 3 years, this pastor and co-pastor hasn't spoken to Sylvia Johnson. But yet, the Bible tells us, if you have an ought against someone, you go to that person and you try to fix it, right? So the church is operating like the world, like the devil. The devil destroys one another. The saints is supposed to keep from destroying one another. So why are we operating like the devil, trying to kill one another? Do we know what love is? Love is a strong emotion. How can you love somebody and hate them at the same time? I don't know. That's a little bit difficult, right? But if you take the word LOVE, reverse it EVOL, it's like evil. Obviously, we've got it kind of mixed up. Is it really love or is it evil? Because it's not love. Love don't endanger someone. So we need to know what love really is, because love won't stab you to death. Hatred will, but love won't. Love will say, hey, I messed up. I said the wrong thing. Please forgive me. I do have a conscience. I shouldn't have said that. Give me another chance. So these are things that we need to work on. And I want this team of lawyers to help Sylvia Johnson. I have another thing that I'm saying. Can I get someone? I need a job. Do you know how I am in the mind? I have a brilliant mind. I have some programs here where I'd like to help the homeless people. No, I don't have the money to fund these programs, but there are some people that want to work. We can have a program called Working Programs for the Homeless. Dallas, Texas has so much money, so much grant money out there. We can put some of these people to work. One program is called a Call to Action program, where we can have people answering the phones. How can I help you? Can I help you fill out forms? Can I help you notarize documents? What can I do? Can I help you find a lawyer? Da 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 da. Then we can have another program called HIP. Here is proof. All of these people that have their documents for lawyers, but they can't afford to get the lawyers. Let us help these people in the community. We can get a big building. All of those people that want to work. So what if they have to work for $10 an hour? They can sleep on mats, cots. We can go to Goodwill stores, get them clothing. We can have people to donate something to this big building. As long as they want to work and go by the rules, we can get these people some jobs, pay them to answer the phones. Do you really know how many companies that do not even answer the phones now? People are reaching out for help. And they can't get it in this community. Everybody's saying, oh, because of COVID now, sorry, things have changed. We don't answer the phones anymore. Leave a voicemail and we'll get back to you later. How long is later? When God gives me something to do, I've never told God, sorry, God, I don't have a car. Sorry, God, I can't do it. The day that I heard the Lord call my name after I left my church, I don't care what people think of me or tell me who I am or what I am not. It does not matter. I was at a bus stop at Wynn Joyce in Broadway in Garland, Texas, in front of a mini Walmart. I was sitting there, and the voice of the Lord called my name. And called my name Sylvia, not City and not Sylvia, like most people call me and cannot pronounce my name. Called my name with a voice like thunder, and I jumped up so high and looked around, and he let me know, Sylvia, I call you. Don't let nobody tell you who you are, because I call you. And when you know that the Lord has called you, how can somebody walk up to you and tell you that the Lord didn't call you because they don't believe in your calling? When I speak under the anointing of God, the Lord encompasses me with his anointing, and all kind of powerful words come out of my mouth. So how can someone tell me that I'm not a preacher? How can someone tell me, oh, you cannot get your minister's license under our ministry because you're not driving a vehicle? But guess what? Other things can go on in the church. You can get your minister's license if you're committing adultery and other things, but you can't get it if you don't have a car. So tell me, and someone answer me, some big minister, what are the bylaws in the church? What are they for? What are the rules of the congregation? How do ministers stand up in the pulpit, or pastors or leaders, and break these rules? What are the bylaws for and the rules and regulations of the church? If you can stand up in your church and break these rules just anytime, arbitrarily, or anytime you want to, how can you tell other individuals? Because my Bible tells me all unrighteousness is sin. And if the church is not flowing, with the fruits of the spirits, something is wrong with that church if the church is not operating like that. The church needs to be repaired and restored. When I reported all of these incidences to the employee relations team at the bank, I didn't ask for anybody to be fired. I asked for the employee relations team to train the managers on how to run a disability program or those that have an illness. That's what I asked for. One manager even reported that I missed 3 days of work without calling in and call the man that I had reported to. That's how I knew it was the Whistleblowing Act. And I said, well, let me give you the numbers that I have, the emergency contact numbers that I have for reporting absences. And guess what the ruling was? Oh, Sylvia Johnson has entered the building since COVID relief, and which was what, April? Not April. It was November 2021. Sylvia Johnson entered the building. 5 managers forgot to give her the updated telephone numbers for calling in for absences. Now, how did that happen? You would think one manager might forget. My manager forgot. The VP forgot. The other 3 managers forgot. And all the assistant managers forgot. Out of all the employees that returned, how did they forget to give Sylvia Johnson all of the updated telephone numbers? And when they called my brother and he rushed from another city thinking his sister was somewhere dead on a train or a bus, maybe have had a seizure somewhere, he forgot to tell them, oh, she was at the hospital in the emergency room waiting to be seen and could not be seen because of COVID. It was too many people that day and she had been sick. He forgot to tell them, but the employee relations manager, once he saw the numbers that I had dialed, he made one manager apologize because she forgot. So that's the punishment. All of the retaliation I had endured, all of the duress and stress I had worked under until they asked me to sign this packet called transition packet. What is a transition packet? I've never heard of it. I've worked since I was 19. Oh, we're just going to transition you into a new job, Miss Johnson. And the recruiting company said, no, Miss Johnson, you signed this packet. They hired us to create you a resume. Now, have you ever heard of somebody with a bachelor's degree needing someone to create a resume? Someone with a paralegal certification, human resource certification, diverse recruiting certification, to need someone to create a resume. It was all bribery, but inside that packet, it had a signature page, rights not to sue. And I said to them, what is this document? Rights not to sue. And what would I be suing you for if you're transitioning me into a new job? Oh, it's just a document, Miss Johnson, that we just put into the packets just to cover ourselves. Somebody in this city, please help me. Not only help me, help the homeless people, because had I not had all of these things that had happened to me, bam, 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 going to pay my rent, which was $11.25 a month, went to pay my rent, and the lady said, oh, Miss Johnson, your rent now is $1,835 without notice. And I said, wait a minute, how did this happen? They got mad at me. I had ant invasion, and then I had sewage water damage, where I was drinking sewage water. Ant invasion, my insurance was covered in the apartments. They didn't even replace any of my clothing, any of my furniture that I had to throw away. How did that happen? code compliance came out and sent a team of inspectors out, and people that sprayed the unit. They said, lady, this same apartment we have been out to 3 times. They said that the ants were coming through the brick walls. That's why you can't get rid of the ants. Now, it seems like maybe the code compliance put the violation on the apartments. I call the tenants' rights associations. All of these places got zero help. How does this happen to people? The apartments had already put a $22.70 fee for my rent on somebody else's account accidentally. When we went before the judge said, oh, that's no big deal. Said, it happens. The judge asked them for the ledger. I had mine. They said, oh, we accidentally left our ledger at the office. How could a judge proceed with a case like that? So I'm going to ask you once again. I need a tower. I need some, what do you call it? I need lawyers. I need FBI agents. And I need some investigators. I need us to come together as a team. And all of these companies that I have, nobody will walk away broke. You mean y'all get y'all 50%? Give me what's left. I'll sign the affidavit and the rights not to sue you for anything less than the 50%. Okay? Let's show this city that we are about love and helping one another. Let's show this city there are still some pro bono lawyers out here, because I want everybody on this tower of love. Red, yellow, black, white, all colors. Because if Craig Watkins, Mr. Watkins can do it and turn things around, let us turn things around with this city. Because I am about love, integrity, peace, power, and I am a doer. That's why people say she thinks she can take over anything. I think I can take over anything. No, that's not me. I'm a doer. Doers are people that try to do what they can to help a person. It's not about money. Why would you charge a person money for everything? It's not about money. It's about survival, reaching out and helping. So help me, Sylvia Sassy Bird Johnson. My books are under Miss Sylvia Johnson on Amazon. Please look me up and be wonderfully blessed. Thank you.